There's no introduction needed for this one, no fancy graphics, no special script. Universal Great Britain has 100% been confirmed. It's an absolutely momentous day for the UK and for the UK theme park industry, and you've likely already seen 100 videos about this. But this video isn't necessarily about providing you with new and exclusive information. I wanted to document the day that it happened. I wanted to know how I was feeling and what my thoughts were when Universal Great Britain was announced. So if you'd like to join me, by all means, have a watch with me. We're going to go through the concept art and we're going to have a look at Universal Great Britain and what we can expect when this comes to the UK in 2031. So you'll be able to see down here at the entrance you have the iconic Universal globe, followed by the Universal arches. These are over in the US. It's something that is synonymous with Universal Studios, and it's great to see that we've got our own version over here in the UK. Now we can see plenty of buildings before that entrance portal, and what I feel this is they've announced that there will be some form of Universal City Walk. Now, Universal City Walk, for those that don't know, it's their dining, entertainment and shopping area, and usually over at Universal, similar with the Disney Springs area, these are free to enter areas. They are owned by Universal or Disney, and they are operated by them as well, but they're a free to enter area where you can go and spend your money without purchasing a park ticket. So for me, to the right hand side of this picture, you've likely got a fancy restaurant where you can go over and get some nice dining in. And then over to the left hand side, this is likely to be an indoor shopping complex, an entertainment and eateries, very similar to the studio building when you entered Walt Disney Studios over at Disneyland Paris. You'd walk into what looked like a warehouse, but as you went through, it was filled with lots of different eateries, drinkeries and shopping areas. I think that's what this is going to be, and it's connected to what we can see as well is the hotel, which we'll just touch on as we move up. But as you go straight through those entrance arches, those iconic arches, you're then greeted by what is very Disney-like. Universal tend to just go straight into all of the different areas of the park at a lot of the parks that we've seen. But this looks like it has some form of main street. You've got the fountain in the middle with all of the buildings around the outside and this big long main street until you've got that view of the lake at the end. Now I would expect again that all down the side, at least on the right hand side, you would have a variety of eateries, shopping and entertainment. And on the left hand side, you have that 500 room hotel where guests will be able to stay at Universal, and they'll likely have their own entrance into the park as well. Now as we get past that, you then walk out into this big, huge open lake, and this feels very reminiscent of Epcot. You've got that central lake with all of the different lands dotted around the outside, which is slightly different than the likes of Islands of Adventure, Universal Studios and Epic Universe, which all have very different things central to them, but this has that Epcot style lake, and as you're walking around that pathway around the outside, you've got access to all of those different lands. Now the first area you come across, I had no idea what this might be, and I will credit Mr. Sean Evans of Lift Hills and Thrills for putting this idea in my head, but once it was in my head I couldn't get it out, and I've done the research and this looks to completely fit. And this area here feels very much like an Amity Village type area from the Jaws films. If you can see this tall red building, the flat white building with the ramp that appears to go up into it, as well as this walkway out of the lake with some form of blurred statue in the middle. This very much looks like these two buildings, which are from the Osaka version of Amity Village, and also the shark photo opportunity that you get in almost all of the Universal parks. Now, yes, Jaws is a very, very old property. It just feels to me like that's what it's going to be. And towards the back end of that lake as well, you do look to have some sort of facade, which leads to a potential show building out the back. So could it be that there's a small type of dark ride there, or potentially even like a 4D cinema or something like that, where you can experience maybe Jaws 3D. As we move up to the next area, there's no doubt about it that this looks like an almost identical carbon copy of the Minions land over at Universal Beijing. If you look at the concept art for Universal Beijing and you look at the concept art for Universal UK, these two areas seem almost identical. So it's likely that this coaster that you can see isn't an actual coaster, it's more theming, hiding what is either a coaster or another form of ride inside the building underneath it. But this is going to be based potentially on just the Minions or maybe Illuminations overall, because these buildings at the back with the green foliage over the purple roofed houses, for some reason that's giving me a very Secret Life of Pets vibe, which is also made by Illuminations too. They do have a Secret Life of Pets dark ride over at Universal Studios, so it's possible we may get a very similar dark ride over here in the UK as well, because you can see that there is a show building attached to this too. And then you have a few other buildings just as you move along around it, which are likely eateries, shopping, gift shops, etc. too. Now this for me isn't the most exciting land that's there, but it should be really good nonetheless. And as we move further around, you then come to what initially was one of the most exciting things for me, is you came to this very dark area. You've got this old gothic looking building along with tones of purple and blue, which felt very much like a dark universe area to me. It looks very similar to the colours and the style that you got over at Epic Universe when that was announced, so that is where my thoughts went straight away. Potentially, as I discussed it earlier today, I came to the conclusion, what else could it be? We did think that Harry Potter was going to be a big part of this park, being an iconic UK IP. However, nothing indicated Harry Potter straight away about any of this. Now, some of the sort of cone-shaped roofs did feel a little bit Harry Potter, and my thoughts were that in all of the parks they do have some form of Harry Potter property, but they always try and mix it up. In some they've got Hogsmeade, in some they've got Hogwarts, in some they have the Ministry of Magic and the French Parisian streets. My thoughts were, could this be, especially with all the forestry and the foliage, could we see some form of Forbidden Forest attraction, with this dark building at the back being an escape from Forbidden Forest? That was exciting to me, as was the Dark Universe, and then it was pointed out on the internet by numerous people that this building down by the front, as well as the bridge that goes over to the building, the rock work around it, the river that flows underneath it, and the forestry around it, is identical, almost pixel for pixel identical to the Poison Apple Tavern from Shrek. So the feeling is now, with it being such a close match visually, that potentially these aren't two separate lands, and this whole area, including Minions and these show buildings at the top, are more of a Universal Animations area that will include properties from both Illuminations and DreamWorks, which are both owned by Universal. I won't say that I'm not a little bit disappointed by that. Obviously, I'm a full-grown adult most of the time. However, it's going to be good. There's no doubt it's Universal. They're going to theme it to the max. They're going to be using technology that we've never seen before. It's going to look fantastic. I have it on good authority that some of the Shrek rides around the world, I think there's one over in Dubai or somewhere like that, are absolutely brilliant. I've never been and experienced them myself, so it's no doubt going to be good, but I can't lie, I'm a little disappointed that this isn't going to be something a bit darker and a bit more gothic like Dark Universe or the kind of horror side of Harry Potter, but it should still be cracking. As we move on towards the back, there does appear to be a huge amphitheatre which has water and fire effects coming out of the top of it. Now, I have seen linked to this next land that we're going to look at that this could possibly be the amphitheatre where the Mosasaurus is kept in Jurassic World. However, it could also be Waterworld, which is a show that they already have over at Universal Studios. However, I don't think it's going to be either of them, because I believe that there was once a concept and designs for a James Bond stunt spectacular show, which never actually came to fruition at any of the parks. Now, as a huge IP and a huge name that's been thrown around in James Bond for Universal UK, it could very well be that they are using this to bring to fruition that James Bond stunt spectacular, which will probably be good. James Bond stunts, pyrotechnics, water effects, it's all fantastic, but I don't think it'd work very well for a ride. Much like Fast and Furious the first time round didn't work very well for a ride, I don't think James Bond would either. However, a stunt spectacular show similar to Indiana Jones, I think that could work very well. So I think that that's possibly going to be it. And it could potentially be seasonal, have seasonal usage as well. So at Halloween, they could have the Halloween style shows in there, like the Bill and Ted show that they had over in Orlando. Who knows? And then we move down to what is looking like the biggest land, and potentially all of it is just one big land. It's not split into two. And again, I could credit various other people for this, because although some of it does look pretty Jurassic Parky, I would have never initially picked it out straight away, but this entire area is potentially a Jurassic Park / Jurassic World area. Not only do you have this absolutely huge coaster, which seems to traverse at least half of the length of the park, winding back and forth, going out into a helix over the lake and back. Now bear in mind, helix over the lake, Mosasaurus roll over the lake, these are all things that Universal are very well versed in. They do like that coaster out over the lake, the Hulk for instance. You do then have a small building towards the side of it. Now, I don't know whether this is part of the ride or it's a separate small dark ride attraction or potentially small shopping area, because you do have other little shops and buildings down here as well. Out along the front, the way that that's designed with the windows and the landscaping around it, that definitely is going to be some form of eatery, you would expect, looking out over the lake. You've then got the beautiful landscaping with the fountains and the waterfalls, with the big centerpiece attraction there as well. Now, at any Universal park, they tend to have one huge standout attraction, the showpiece of the park, if you will. Over at Epic Universe, that is Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein experiment. It is massive, it's got groundbreaking technology inside it, and is likely going to be the best dark ride in the world for quite some time. I've got a feeling that this is going to be the UK's version of that showpiece attraction for Universal UK. And again, pointed out by other channels, what this is likely going to be, with the entrance facade that you can see there, with the atrium at the front, and then with the biggest show building of them all, is going to be like a Jurassic World adventure like you have over in the Asian parks. Now, if you're from the UK and you managed to catch it last year, Universal actually came over to the UK and they created a pop-up Jurassic World experience event. It was absolutely phenomenal. This is a pop-up event that they created on a car park of a shopping centre, and it had some phenomenal technology on the inside of it. The animatronics were better than we've ever seen. They looked so realistic. The audio in there, the theming in there was superb. The way that the animatronics managed to follow you around, react to what you were doing, it was unbelievable. And this was from a pop-up event. So to have something like Jurassic World Adventure with permanent animatronics, with permanent technology, permanent theming, the additional investment that they're going to put into it for a ride of this type, This is going to be absolutely crazy. I am sure of it, and I cannot wait to experience this. Now, as you come off just to the outside of this, you do appear to have what seems like small attractions, but I'm sure are actually quite large, is you have what looks like Universal's patented double drop towers. So not just one, but two drop towers side by side. You have the Doctor Doom Falls over Islands of Adventure, and this is going to be some sort of pterodactyl tumble, if you will. It's going to be some by the way, don't patent that name, that is a crap name. But yeah, it's going to be some form of double drop tower, and underneath it, either it looks like some form of landscaping or potentially a small child-friendly water ride with a bit of an adventure playground. And then you have all of these sort of umbrellaed kind of areas, which could be undercover play areas, could be eateries again, could be some small shops under there. But you also have a little bit of a building which could potentially be a smaller ride or an indoor flat ride, who knows. Moving further on down, as you come to the outside of this next area, there's a small amphitheatre down over the lake again, which feels very much like an Epcot style thing to do. Outside, I believe it's the Americas Pavilion. You do have a little amphitheatre out over the lake there, where they can put seasonal shows, live entertainment on, and it wouldn't surprise me if on the weekends over here, you just got some sort of live music and a band playing. Now, this idea has literally just popped into my head, so I'm going to come back to that. It's straight on the outside of this next area, and it just being an amphitheatre doesn't really feel like it fits into the area. My initial reaction was, well, the pathway cuts it off, so it's obviously a separate area. It doesn't have to be anything to do with what's going on over here. Let's hit that bit first. So as soon as I saw this area, the square that it's set up around, the sort of landscaped place in the middle against that red central square building, my thoughts went straight to Hill Valley. And as soon as I started watching other people's vlogs, they seem to go straight to Hill Valley as well. Obviously, Universal only have a finite number of IPs they can use. Yes, they can try push some brand new IPs on us, but there's no way of knowing if these IPs will stand the test of time. Back to the Future is decades and decades old, and it's still talked about to this day. It's still watched and loved by many. My child is 11 years old, and he absolutely loves Back to the Future. He loves Doc, he loves Marty. We watch it multiple times a year. It stood the test of time. So Back to the Future in Hill Valley, I can see this area being created for the UK, and it does very much feel like that to me. You've got the signs around the edge, which fit in with the signs that you can see in some of these pictures of the Hill Valley area here. That clock tower would look fantastic. Yes, I know that there doesn't appear to be the pointed top to the clock tower, but this is concept art they've released on day one. Maybe they didn't want us guessing straight away what it was going to be. They've not done a great job of that, because I'm thinking we're pretty much nailed on with some of these IPs here. But maybe this was their attempt to not give it away straight away. Maybe they're not even going to have the point on the clock tower. Maybe they're going to take some creative liberties and have it flat. But I've no doubt that this area, for me, feels like Hill Valley. Now, before we get onto the coaster, if we jump back to that amphitheatre, maybe you could have a band playing there, the likes of Power of Love, Johnny Be Good, those kind of rock and roll songs that you heard at the show for Back to the Future, at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, etc. Maybe that could be the Enchantment on the Sea amphitheatre. It is on the lake, of course. I'm creating this as we go along. If I sound stupid, I'm sorry, but I'm very excited. Now, we get to this coaster, which looks like a phenomenal, said that word a lot today, world-class coaster. And I'm no coaster expert. I don't profess to be a roller coaster enthusiast. I'm a theme park enthusiast. I like visiting the places. I like the atmosphere. I like just being there. Coasters, absolutely love them, but I couldn't really care less about the wheels and the pins and the bolts and all that kind of stuff. So if I get some of the details wrong here, please forgive me. But it does very much look like an Intamin multi-launch coaster. It's obviously got a spike on there that's very reminiscent of Top Thrill 2 or Top Thrill 3 or Top Thrill 4 or whatever incarnation of Top Thrill we're on right now. But yeah, it just looks to have that look of Top Thrill with those multi-launches on there. Now, I followed this with my mouse, with my finger, with a pen. I cannot for the life of me figure out which way this is going to go. At some point, you're going to end up going backwards or spinning around. There also appears to be a bit of a switch track on there. But my assumption would be, and I've created this ride essentially from start to finish in my head now, even with the audio, the dialogue, the show scenes, I've given myself goosebumps and hairs on the back of my neck. I even had to stop work for 5 minutes to go and tell the wife, this is what I think it's going to be. This is how brilliant it's going to be. Now, I think you're going to have some sort of scene where you're with Doc or Marty, you jump into the DeLorean, which is the ride train, and it's then launched off. You've got to escape from something, but you've got to get up to 88 miles per hour to do it. That first launch is going to propel you out, potentially out of the side and into the pretzel loop, and then you're going to go up that spike, but you're not going to get all the way up it. You're then going to roll back down over that little airtime hill into the show building where you're potentially going to have some more of the show. You're going to grab something that's going to be thrown into the DeLorean that's going to shoot you off, and you're going to hit 88 miles per hour. The train is going to have lights on it. I'm thinking Siren's Curse, but instead of the Siren's Curse lights, you're going to have what looks like a flux capacitor, and it's going to have onboard audio, so Doc's still talking to you, and as you're flying up that spike for the second time, this time reaching all the way to the top, you've got that music playing in the background, at which point you're going to fly back down, you're going to go over that inverted top hat. That way it looks like you're going to be going back up the spike again, and then all the way down into the show building to end the ride. I'm done. I'm done. Sell me it now. I will go down there. I'll live there. That is, if that doesn't happen, I riot. I'm telling you. But yes, that is what I think it's going to be. There's no doubt for me right now. I'm probably wrong, but in my mind, until I'm told otherwise, this is going to be a hill valley area. We move on down then to the last little bit, which I won't go too much into because honestly, probably doesn't interest me too much compared to a lot of the other stuff there. It just looks like the children's area of the park. You've got a small bloom ride, what looks like a play area, and potentially some teacups or a carousel, and maybe a small indoor dark ride or fun house for the kids as well. It doesn't potentially look like it gives me any vibes of specific theming, but it could be anything from Universal. A couple of people have said DreamWorks area, but the fact that I feel DreamWorks and Illuminations is going the other side, I don't think it is. But that feels very much like the child area there. I don't have much interest in it now. It's likely when I get over there, I'll still be massively excited by it all. In fact, some of the grass on the side, I'm probably going to get excited about how good it looks and how green it is. It's just one of those things when you're a massive nerd like me. And then as you pass that, you do get to that 500-room hotel again, possibly the entrance into the park from the hotel there, before you're back onto that main street. Don't know if you can tell, but I'm excited. I hope you're excited too. If you are, let me know in the comments down below. What are your thoughts about what IPs we could see at any of these areas around the park? Are you excited regardless of what the IPs are? Are you disappointed it doesn't look like we're going to get Harry Potter? Please just let me know. Let's have a talk about this. This video isn't to give you any new groundbreaking information. It's so I can discuss this with you lot because it's just flipping exciting, and it should be exciting for every one of us. Please, if you do like this video, as a massive favour, smash the like button for me. It helps me out massively, growing the reach of the channel and helps me continue doing what we do. And if you did like this video, or if you'd like to see any of our other news, speculation videos, or vlogs from around theme parks, scare events, other attractions, Comic Cons, the whole range of things, we've got lots of things planned this year, including heading back on over to Efteling and Toverland, then if you could do me a massive favour, subscribe to the channel. It helps me out loads and it really does cost you nothing. I'm never going to try hawking you some of any like merch crap. I'm never going to try getting you on any memberships or anything like that. Just the fact that you are subscribing really does help me out and would be massively appreciated. And with that being said, that is all we've got to discuss today. Universal Great Britain is coming to the UK. It's a momentous day. I can't bloody wait. 6 years starts now. Thank you for watching. I've been Darren, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you later.